Now, for what this means for the Democratic Alliance, I'm joined in the studio by our politics editor, Sbu Ngalwa. Good to have you with us once again, Sbu. So the big question, what impact will the resignation of John Moodey actually have on the party? You know, once again, the DA says he's playing the race card.
Of course, the DA was always going to respond like that, but I think that what John Moodey's resignation actually amplifies is the fact that black leaders are finding it untenable for them to continue being in the Democratic Alliance, and that has to do with the direction that the party seems to have forged for itself going forward. You would have seen it was always clear in any case with the resignation of Mane last year and which followed that of Herman Mashaba, that there was always going to be a shift of sorts, but you still have some prominent leaders of the DA who remain there. I do expect though that there probably will be more resignations. I think regardless of what the DA says, whether for them it's just a matter of good riddance, the reality is that it hurts the party. But I think that based on where the DA is going and how it is positioning itself, I think that probably they won't sweat it, because the reality is the DA has accepted themselves to be a opposition party. No longer are they looking to be a party that is contesting government. They have accepted their role, that they will now be a party that is just an alternative government, that is a opposition party, and that's that. You see that in the terms of the policies that they push and also the issues that they're taking up. You would have noticed, Thami, before you come in, and that even now the issue, farm matters is a very serious case in South Africa. And for the longest time, that is one issue that has been pushed largely by your Freedom Front Plus and AfriForum, but you've seen a shift in the DA after they were hurt in the 2019 elections, where suddenly they're the most vociferous proponents and defenders, not necessarily defenders, but raising the issue. It is important, it should be raised, but the fact that they're championing it tells you that they're trying to actually claw back and get that support that they lost in the 2019 elections that went to the Freedom Front Plus.
Do you think we are seeing a re-imaging of the Democratic Alliance in the sense of themselves really repositioning themselves? John Moodey says that they're happy at staying at 20% on the polls. As an insider, that is perhaps not something that he would just say. As a leader specifically, these must have been the type of conversations that they're having, that if we are to be in opposition, let us be the strongest opposition that we can possibly be. Do you think that that is where the DA is trying to position itself?
The reality is, Thami, there is re-engineering, and there are conversations that took place post the 2019 elections. But those conversations did not include the broader membership of the DA. I think there is a powerful bloc within the DA which determines what happens. And I think that bloc sat and realized and said, look, we have had an experiment with a black leader, Mane, it hasn't worked. Black people were not convinced about the DA's intentions, and if you look at what is happening now, the reality is it was always meant to, because Helen Zille, the good thing that Helen Zille did with the presidency is that in terms of the white vote, in 2014, she pretty much saturated the white vote. The DA had hit the ceiling. So for her to take it forward, it needed a black leader to convince black people to vote for the DA. But black voters were not fooled, and they didn't fall for that. Come 2019, when they do not get the results and lost some voters to the Freedom Front Plus, the DA then kind of, there has been some re-engineering, which then says that where is the DA going? And the DA is swiftly moving from the center towards the right. I mean, if you look at also its policy documents, it's a party that doesn't see race. You know, it's all about opportunities in a country like South Africa. So, and also the issues it champions. If you listen, also during the lockdown, some of the issues, the industries in the Western Cape, and you can see that this is more about interest groups rather than the broader society. So John Moodey is correct actually in saying that the DA has resigned itself to being a small party, strong opposition. It has no desires of being, or designs of being a party in government.
Where does that then leave the likes of Mbali Ntuli? Young, aspirational, has a vision for the party. Where does that leave her and those who may support her?
The reality is that Mbali will go to the conference. I think she's smart. I think she's bold, and I admire her as a young leader, and I think it's important for her to actually challenge the hegemony of that Helen Zille grouping in the DA, that no one can go uncontested. It's actually good for the party to have Mbali contesting John Steenhuisen, and whether she will win or not is another story altogether. But I think that the reality is that she has had to go through a number of disciplinary processes and all of that, which also John Moodey was talking about. I don't know for how much longer she can withstand that, but I think that the reality is that for black leaders within the DA, the space is becoming more and more uncomfortable. And I do expect that now that Helman Mashaba has lost his party and Musima Imane is also, momentum is growing on his side, that you will probably see an exodus, which is not necessarily about them following those leaders because of their personalities, but rather because of the direction that the party is taking.
In 30 seconds, the fact that Steenhuisen refused to have an open debate with Nduli, what type of effect do you think that might have on her moving forward?
I think it actually has a bearing on him. It's a reflection on him and his and the type of a leader that he is. I mean, for a party that styles itself as an alternative government, you would expect the highest level of accountability and transparency for its leaders. That John refuses to debate another candidate, I think it tells you the kind of leader that the DA will have if he wins that conference.
Well, good to chat to you once again, Sbu, on your insights on the Democratic Alliance as the issues begin to develop and continue to develop leading up to their conference.